Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming to this presentation on cloud computing and the insurance company. My name's Rachel Latimer and I will be giving today's presentation. The agenda for today's session is utilisation of cloud and associated risks, experience of other companies with cloud, advantages and disadvantages of cloud, scope to which cloud is recommended for implementation, infrastructure that's required for cloud, best practice for management of cloud, lessons learnt during the research, and conclusion. So the introduction, cloud computing will be beneficial to this insurance company. The implementation must be well researched, staged and tested prior to full implementation, and the true costs and associated benefits will not be known until implementation. Competitive advantage and innovation is a real possibility, and intangible and tangible benefits will be seen. So, utilisation of the cloud means something different to everyone and every organisation, and there's no single definition for cloud computing. For many, cloud computing means rewriting their apps, putting their data somewhere outside, and in some cases it threatens the way they do business. However, the cloud is a holistic ecosystem of components, not a point product or single vendor solution, and has specific requirements to meet the needs of organisations. At its broadest level, cloud computing is the provision of computing services over a network, typically the internet. For us, it means a mobile workforce, faster processing times, meet demand in times of disasters and high insurance claim periods, reduction in IT infrastructure, and a business continuity strategy. A cloud can be a private cloud, a community cloud, a public cloud, a hybrid cloud, and they're each a little bit different as far as infrastructure or cloud infrastructure. For a private cloud, it's operated solely for an organisation. It may be managed by the organisation, by an external provider, and may exist on premises or be outsourced. A community cloud infrastructure is shared by several organisations and supports a specific community that has shared concerns, as in compliance considerations, mission, and so on. Public clouds, the cloud infrastructure is made available to the general public or a large industry group and is owned by an organisation selling the cloud services such as Telstra. And a hybrid cloud, the cloud infrastructure is a composition or two or more clouds. It can be a private community, private public, community public. That remains as unique entities but are bound together by standardised or proprietary technology that enables data and application. The approach allows extra processing and data storage capacity to be accessed as required and covers peaks in demand. Cloud services, cloud computing services consist of three different services: infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. There's certainly risks associated with the cloud, legal and compliance. As soon as the data leaves the organisation, it potentially becomes compromised, and there are associated legal, regulatory and policy obligations that may arise. From a data security point of view, this is certainly one of the primary concerns of many companies, and it's with regards to maintaining and controlling their data in a secure environment. From a financial point of view, cloud computing is not always the cheapest option, and careful review of the economics is required to ensure there are financial benefits associated with its implementation. The integration migrating to the cloud for some companies is quite rushed, and there's not the care taken to ensure the contracted cloud providers can meet all organisational requirements. From an organisational point of view, the effects of cloud computing and changes associated with an IT transformation project can be quite unsettling and disruptive to the organisation. Also has the potential for staff changes. Business continuity, because of these interruptions, loss of data, and so on, this can cause business continuity issues. And also with the implementation side of things, as already identified, if it's rushed and not well thought out, then there can become issues with that. Experiences of others. CSG International's Brisbane Research and Development Division recently looked at implementing cloud, and they've chosen not to go with that option for a couple of reasons. Primarily, it's not economically viable for them, and this is as a result of the amount of data that they're constantly processing on a 24 hours basis. Versus a company such as Reed Specialist Recruitment, they have implemented a private cloud structure. Their primary areas of interest were business continuity and cost-saving benefits, and as an outcome, they've certainly saved money and improved speed of service. Advantages and disadvantages of cloud. There are some. Advantages: it's helped organisations find innovative ways of doing business. Scope for growth, adaptability, resilience, collaboration, accessibility and scalability are some of the things that it can do for a company. Provide better performance, faster rollout, improves business continuity because your data has actually been stored in an off-location area, so that if your primary place of employment becomes destroyed as a result of a fire or something like that, then your data's safe off premises. Reduces capital and operating costs, provides a competitive advantage to those companies who have actively pursued cloud computing, and the information's always available anywhere, anytime, so your employees can use their iPads and their iPhones to access data along with their laptops. Disadvantages, there's some of those too. Data's in multiple locations, which we may experience this disadvantage because we're going to have a private and a public cloud. So your data's going to be stored potentially in two different places, and you can lose control of it, and you can lose where that data is. So that's one disadvantage, and as already discussed, loss of control. Inaccessibility for if the cloud provider service goes down for a reason or another, that can actually cause disruptions to service. Bandwidth constraints if they're not adequate and not well thought about on implementation. The potential disruption in the workplace that comes with change of any sort, and certainly cloud brings about this potential disruption. And a potential mismatch between requirements of the organisation and the cloud provider service. Scope and utilisation of cloud for this company. Yes, it's a viable option. There's strong returns on investment, long-term reduction in capital and operational expenses. We're looking at adopting a hybrid cloud with a mix of public and private infrastructure. This will allow us to rent for the spike times of high demand, especially during natural disasters. Private cloud allows for a greater control over our data that's sensitive to us and that we actually want to keep control of. Cloud as a service, we're going to be looking at leveraging the infrastructure as a service and software as a service. We're going to be using the pay-as-you-go option so that we can actually fluctuate in times of demand and when it's not so busy. It's going to allow for a mobile workforce, so we're going to be able to take our iPads and iPhones and laptops out into the field. And before we actually implement it, we're going to be testing and looking at it before our initial deployment. The sensitivity analysis which was performed for this project is, as you can see, we've gone for scenario 3, grid network and our own infrastructure forming part of the hybrid cloud, the private side of things. We're going for a private-public mixed with a managed server. leveraging both infrastructure as a service and software as a service and a pay-as-you-go option. The reason for our choice is the MVP, which is quite high, of 5,923,377. And the hybrid cloud structure will allow the advantages already discussed. Given the nature of cloud computing, there's a low initial startup cost, CapEx outlay, as the infrastructure of the cloud is based on a pay-as-you-go. In addition to this, the company has an established and modern IT infrastructure. The variables that come into play is that it will result in one less staff member. There will be staff still required to run the IT infrastructure for the company. However, the managed side of things will definitely reduce one staff member and have a savings there. And security is part of the managed deal, which is a further associated saving. The infrastructure required is, as you can see on the PowerPoint. However, we will be having a hybrid mix, so there will be another cloud off to the right of that one that you can see, and associated pathways and linking between them. But the basic building blocks of cloud infrastructure is your desktop computers, CPU and RAM, network, both WAN and LAN, storage as in SAN, hypervisor, router, software licensing, telecommunication from the point of view of the internet, staff required, data center floor space, electricity for your hardware, and your air conditioning for cooling. Best practice for the cloud implementation is build a business model. Target low risk, low value data to start with, assess the suitability, ensure it's safe and secure. Timing and triggers are looked at, financial impact, whether it's going to be viable or not, organisational capacity to actually handle the cloud computing, manage change, the implementation, the effect that it's going to have on the organisation, any associated training that goes with that. And an exit strategy in place so that if the cloud provider suddenly goes out of business or we decide to go to another cloud provider, that there is that ability to exit out of the arrangement. Lessons learnt. Data is potentially safer in the cloud, allows for business continuity plan and allows for a virtual filing cabinet. There's many different ways cloud computing can be configured to meet the needs of the organisation's architecture. Very important to think, plan and run a test environment in the cloud with low importance data, test security and compliance. Use a hybrid cloud with a private cloud would be the most economical and viable option, along with potentially the safest. Control is a major issue and hold back from the cloud with a lot of companies, while competitive advantage, agility, speed of rollout, or changeability and cost saving is in both CapEx and OpEx are major motivators. So in conclusion, cloud computing means something different to everybody. For the company, it has potential to supply a competitive advantage. The hybrid cloud model, leveraging the infrastructure as a service and software as a service, is the best fit for this company. There are risks, however. Careful planning, security, collaboration and training will reduce these risks. Experience by other companies demonstrates it is possible to implement cloud computing. And for this company, the advantages outweigh the disadvantages associated with cloud computing.